Let me double check the sound to make sure it's okay.
Yes.
Other than that, oh my God, I've been getting activated all day.
Oh, yeah.
This is the
It's been wild. It's been wild.
yeah, this is the third show of the day.
Yeah, I don't know how you're handling that.
Well, I was off for almost a week.
Yeah.
I did a couple things, but I came to Sedona and
Uh,
I went through this whole period. I came for 4 days and then I left for a few days and then I got back yesterday.
yeah.
And the minute I got back, I mean, it just started. I mean, and
Yeah.
nothing disruptive, just pure 5D. It's pure 5D. And that's all I
Beautiful.
can say. And of course, Morgan explained it to me because she's like, "Well, do you know what happened, right?" And I'm like, "What?" Because you just walked into pure 5D. And I'm like, "I get it. I actually get it."
Yeah.
So that's
Oh,
something
beautiful.
that's something we could talk about. We got
Yeah.
15 people. Let me make sure they can hear us. Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah. Augusti's in the house. Hello, Augusty. What's going on, brother?
Well,
Okay.
he's
So,
actually sitting right next to me, so.
oh, well, you can bring him on too. I didn't even think about that. You
Oh,
got
well,
room.
we planned it now this way. It's all good. So,
Well, either way, at
yeah,
any time. So, yeah, right. So, okay, let me roll the show out.
sure.
We got about 30 people here and moving quickly. Of course, you're like a magnet for everybody.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
yeah, Vera's joining us. This is our third or fourth time to collaborate. Her and
Yes.
Augusti are out there with this new 5D business enterprise, which Soulogy totally aligns with, and 5D commerce, which Soulogy totally aligns with, and this
Beautiful.
this conscious rebellion, revolution, relove solution against the existing lawless laws and financial regulations that Todd totally aligns with.
Totally.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get ya.
Yeah, I just had my passport denied
Oh, nice.
August
Gotta,
31st. So I'm having to contemplate how do I rectify this
yeah,
without disempowering myself or giving any energy to the
yeah,
system. So, that's my own trip, but
yeah.
at the same time the universe said you're not going to Australia yet. She's got to come back here and you've got work to do in Sedona. And I'm like, Sedona? Like, yeah, get your ass to Sedona and
Yeah,
they'll make it happen. So which is what y'all are doing. So I don't know where you want to start. You put a repost out
yes.
a few days ago, and then you put out two or three, but badass posts regarding your situation, and you were
Yeah,
talking, and you also talked about how you hadn't written for a long time,
yeah, it's true.
and so I mean, this is a platform for you. Thank you for coming and honoring
Yeah,
us with
well,
your presence. So
thank
I'll
you
let
so much for having me again. It's always a pleasure, always fun.
so I'll let you roll with it. What do you feel like starting with today?
Oh my goodness. Well, maybe we can start with the equinox as it's equinox day.
Yeah, happy equinox.
Happy equinox. Equinoxes, it's when you look back, they're always kind of challenging.
Yeah.
Also, of course, depending where people are in the journey, but usually what happens is that it's like this before the balance takes and you have the tipping point into something new, that it's like this huge out breath where a lot of stuff comes up and you're cleansing and clearing and you just don't know how to handle all of it. And
Hmm. Yeah.
before it expands again and you go into another in breath. And that's what equinoxes are for.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gets every time is different, also depending on where people are in their journey and what they're busy with at the moment. For me, this time it was just super deep in terms of like basic, like the primal survival stuff. And
This is it. Yeah.
it was really starting very physically. So I knew it was coming up from like the deepest cells in a huge cellular cleansing that was building up for me.
Yeah.
and it wasn't fun at all. I really had a hard time to still stay, like here and say, okay, I'm gonna do this, because it was really like a physical death almost for me for a couple of days, having huge pain through the whole body, and especially in the
Wow.
base area, base energy center area.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then that's what happens when it's physical cleansing. Then it first starts with physical pain, and then the emotion gets carved out of the body and released with the pain. And
Mm.
it's different than cleansing and the energetic body only. Like when you
Yeah.
cleanse emotional stuff from your energetic body, it's much more explosive. It goes a lot quicker, while the physical stuff comes like in smaller waves, and it's really like more this cuffing up of, okay, there's a little bit more, and yeah.
Yeah.
Recognizable, I don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm thinking back to because mine. See, what's today? Today's Saturday, so this would have been like Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah,
Thursday.
yeah,
And I was just like, and I come to Sedona. I came back to Phoenix to get some stuff together before I came back yesterday.
yeah.
And I'm talking to Morgan, and she's like, "You sound like you're a little out of balance." I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." So another like 72 hours go by of this, and it just kept going and
Yeah,
going and going, and the physical discomfort and the whole 9 hours. Well, I saw a post Augusti did by
yeah,
a body of water, like a stream or something.
yeah, yeah.
And whatever he said, I'm like, that's it. He was like, so I don't know if it's the equinox or kick your ass anox. I don't know what it is, but
uh, well, it's both.
mm,
it
yeah,
it it does kick your ass. I mean, it can be ass kicking in a very positive way as well. It's always positive, but it's how the mind interprets is the difference. And yet it's always a huge influx of energy, and it's
yeah,
always like when you look at the Schumann resonance has been spiking. I don't know
yeah,
if we can even define the normal
mm,
level anymore, or if it's
mm,
higher already. It's been crazy, and we've had to deal with a lot of geostorms and a lot of cosmic influxes, and yeah, so everything needs to be handled somehow. And there's always this one part of cleansing. What happens when these high frequencies come in, then all the stuff that's still in the system gets brought up in your body, and at the same time it's also upgrading. So
yeah,
both ways, it's really like going higher and higher. That's what Lisa loves to post, the higher and
yeah,
higher thing, and I can totally agree with that one, because that's what happened. We go higher and higher, although sometimes it seems like we're going the opposite direction, and
yeah,
actually we go back to zero. And I have the same sensation sometimes, that I'm just like thinking, okay, so this is higher and higher. I just feel like I hit rock bottom at the
yeah,
moment, but
yeah,
still it's always a new layer, a next level that you're going through.
yeah,
So it's never going back, although sometimes it feels like, okay,
mm,
I've been somewhere else already, why am I falling back so much?
yeah,
And it's not a falling back, it's just going deeper into your system
yeah,
until everything's gone.
yeah.
Yeah,
I hit the wall. I hit the wall July 27th, and I talked about it.
yeah,
It was the red moon eclipse. I surrendered,
yeah,
and then I was told, because I hit the wall for the first time in a long time. I've been
yeah,
traveling navigating this super abundance 5D commerce, this integrity, this honor
yeah,
system, pay it forward. And so then I hit this wall, but it was all by design. I surrendered. I was told, get up, broadcast, reach out to
yeah,
everybody, and it happened. Well, the same thing happened on Thursday. But it's like you said, I was like, why am I back here? And Morgan even sent me a note. She said, somebody said that you're back in a loop. And I didn't feel like I was in a loop,
yeah,
but I felt like I was there, but I knew I wasn't going to stay there.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the only thing I can say different about this time is that I knew down there what was coming. And
yeah.
it was like I shot around, I landed in Sedona, I literally walked into 5D. Are you guys experiencing 5D? I mean, like moment by moment, is it starting to really show?
Yeah, well, we've had a phase like that already where it felt like, wow, everything is totally in the flow now, and it was really just this high vibe feeling and really just surfing and riding the wave and having mastered it. Followed by another of these, oh, I fell I fell off the board.
That's
and and it's fine. I'm gonna swim myself up again, and so it's also there. It's a gradual process, but the phases that you experience 5D get longer and longer. And
yeah,
at least that's from our experience, what I can share. That and every time there's still something that needs to be brought up, it's happening. Um, and yeah, this time definitely for me was the money issue, and the, like, abundance, and kind of feeling like, okay, now everything is ready. Basically the only thing that's missing is the money to start with it. And that was really like building up already, actually, the past 6 months, that I went deeper and deeper into this, and going through round after round after round of releasing with regards to that topic. Um, and then, like you said as well, I was hitting the wall already in July, and I was hitting the wall again this week. But exactly the same thing, like you said, it was different, because you don't react anymore.
yeah,
It's more like a revisiting of, okay, I've been dealing with this now for such a long time. I'm just not going to do anything about this now. I'm
yeah,
just going to let it be there. And
yeah,
that's when it shifts quickly. Although the situation might not shift directly, it's still not that we had someone, donating us millions or whatever. it's
yeah,
it's just the perspective that changes, and
yeah,
the feeling about it. And that's what's important, the energy that shifts, because you create your reality with what you feel. It's not what you think, it's what you feel. A lot of people misunderstand that
yeah,
the intention, yeah, the thought is first, but then you really have to, like, let this settle and feel this, and much more go into the feeling of what you want to experience in your life, instead of making it into fixed visions or pictures. And the more you allow these feelings, and that's what happens when your energy shifts, then it manifests quickly.
yeah,
And before that, when you're like doing this all the time with your frequency, which is also normal because you
hmm,
have to find that balance, it cannot really manifest because you're not able to hold it there yet.
yeah.
And yeah, it's all exactly the way it should be. But of course, the mind loves to freak out about that stuff and thinking,
Hmm.
"Oh my God,
this.
I'm not handling this well, and I'm not worth it, and I'm doing everything wrong." And
That's exactly,
it's not.
and I can totally back you up on that because
Mm,
the way it happened to me was so Wednesday. Okay, so Wednesday night, I get up Thursday,
yeah,
right? Is it Thursday? Okay, I get up Thursday. I'm I'm tapped out. I've been following this 5D commerce. I'm paying forward 30%.
yeah,
I'm doing everything, but I'm not freaking out. This is what's weird. So I get
yeah,
up and I don't have anywhere to stay Thursday night. I don't have any money on my bank card. I
yeah.
have a little bit in PayPal, and I had like maybe $10. So I
Mm,
grabbed my stuff. I walked to McDonald's, which I used to do when I was homeless. And I said,
yeah,
and I'm walking in the heat in Arizona this time of year is like
yeah,
100 degrees. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this feels just like 5, 6, 7 years ago, And I'm
yeah,
like, and so that started with like, I don't want to do this again. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, wait a minute.
yeah,
This shit ain't gonna last very long. So I went and got a couple of hamburgers, just
yeah,
like old times. I sat down, I did a video. It's hot, yeah. By the end of the day, though, what ended up happening was I thought, well, you know what? I guess I'm gonna sleep outside tonight, which I haven't done in
yeah,
five years. And I was like, okay, like you said, and I just said, you know what? Okay, I can do that
yeah,
because I know it's on the other side. Well, lo and behold, I was guided to look up on my phone PayPal to rent a hotel. And I found out that you can go through hotel.com for everybody out there. You can go
yeah.
through hotel.com, pay for the hotel through PayPal. And I was just able, like by $3, to get a room for the night,
Wow,
you
cool.
know? So it was what you said though. It was the acceptance of that. It's not going to kill you. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I just changed my intention and said, this is
Yeah.
what I want. Next thing I know, I'm in Sedona and people are reaching out to me, which is the next thing I wanted to ask you about is like people are coming in, they're coming into the flow. They're like appearing
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
opportunities and you can see agenda and you can see purity. That's the only way
Yeah.
I can explain it.
Yeah.
Are you seeing
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really this timeline split that you have people that are still working on an agenda, and also those are, of course, they're super important.
Yes.
I always call them gatekeepers. It's not what usually we understand with gatekeepers, but also them, they're important gatekeepers because only when you have learned to master that and not fall for this any longer, you can really pass on to the next frequency level or dimension or what you want to call it. And so they have their purpose too. But what happens now is that, and that's what you experienced, which is amazing, that you didn't fall for the agenda stuff anymore, and you just went into that flow of 5D, and then it becomes so natural when you really are with people that are vibing on the same frequency level. Then it's just amazing the flow that is created immediately, and how the co-creation starts, and how you like put in your talents, gifts, and everyone's contribution, and then it becomes amazing. And that's what we experience too with our project Fabric, is the people that are committed to it. Every time we come together, it's like our frequency goes up so much, and
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
so creative. And that's what we're doing it for, this like this feeling of co-creation, of community, of really looking into the same direction
yeah,
instead of pulling from each other. That's
yeah,
the agenda thing, that
yeah,
people still are pulling energy from you. It's
yeah,
a really like a joining of the energies and amplifying, and that's
yeah.
just amazing what happens there.
Yeah, and the agenda thing too. I just want to say two things. One
Mm,
is, and I'm sure there's things I'm unconscious of, but what I'm seeing is it's unconscious.
yeah,
It's not a conscious thing. It's not like a premeditated thing. It's unconscious to them.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And on that note, you know, we're made up of an infinite number of frequencies. Some you may be way elevated than me, and vice versa. We have to
yeah,
respect that. But the other thing you said too was about, you know, how these things where you were reaffirming how these things, these people and these circumstances or whatever flow right in. But that's not to forget, at least from my perspective, what I'm experiencing, that other energy, that other polarity is still out there, and it's still
yeah,
poking
yeah,
its
yeah,
head in. It's still
yeah,
poking its head in, and like you said, you consider them gatekeepers, and I look at it with respect and say, okay, I see you.
yeah.
I'm just not gonna go that way, you know.
Yeah, and it's really the question whether you still react to it or not.
Mhm. Yeah,
When you have a reaction, then it's a trigger, and then there's something for you to still look at, because
yeah,
then it's a mirroring. While when you just go your way, it's not resonating,
yeah,
and you just continue, and you've forgotten about it the next minute. So that's the difference, where you can also like check for yourself, where is there really something where I'm still hooking into, and where I'm still getting upset about or annoyed or whatever. Then I know, okay, something for me to look at. There's something I can still bring up for release, or whether it's just not resonating, and
yeah,
then it doesn't do anything with you. It's just like, okay, not for me, and you move on.
yeah.
Yeah.
And on a larger scale, because we talked today on the other couple of shows about
Mm,
the financial system,
yeah.
you know, and these I don't know. For me, and I can only do my thing alone. Like even with Morgan on the financial things, she's like over
Yeah.
there. She's like, I'm doing what I'm going to do. Period.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I just feel for me, I'm like, I don't want to give it any credence at all. I don't. It doesn't exist in my universe. And I know that sounds a little crazy
Mm,
because I'm going to have to do something, for instance, to get a passport.
yeah.
But the point is how do I know that I'm not going to make a leap in a timeline where that doesn't even exist or have
Mm.
any bearing on my life? How do I know that? I don't know that. Yeah.
Nobody knows. I mean, for me, it's more, my feeling about it is more, it's going to be a bridge also there,
Mhm.
where more and more people will switch over to a new system. And that's, again, why I feel it's so important what you guys are doing, what other people are building up now, which is not longer based on money in terms of making money, but it's really in creating benefits.
Yeah.
So that at some point there will be a new system where money doesn't play a role anymore. But like with everything, at the moment we're in this bridge situation where we have the old infrastructure we're still working in and we're still living in, as long as the new infrastructure is not there. And with every time we, come together, we co-create, we start expanding the new system. Because everyone, and that was my post about, was, hey, everyone is important here and everyone has an important contribution to make. And it's not about waiting for someone to do the work for you.
Right.
We can only do this together. Some people got a bit offended by the tonality or whatever in the message.
Trigger.
But it's a trigger, and that's fine. And I mean, that's one of the tasks we have, is also trigger people to into more awareness, or like at least into giving them the opportunity to see it or look at it in a different way. And it was really it was not the intention to be bossy or anything. Some people understood it that way, which is fine. For me, it's much more important that people understand, hey, it's only possible when we really all do our job here.
Yeah.
And when everyone contributes with something, because in the end, everyone, it's like in the simplest way, you can look at it like a circle. Like when everyone starts giving, then it becomes a closed circle, and everyone is giving and receiving. It's not that simple in like when you look at it from a fractal perspective. Of course, it's not only a circle of giving, it's really like a whole network of giving.
Yeah.
But then it becomes automatically giving and receiving. And that's what went wrong with the whole financial system. Because when we look at how money was created, there was a service or a product first, a creation first, and then money represented that value.
Right.
And then it was used to exchange it again for another service. So that actually was the closed circle of giving and receiving, until the financial system had the great idea, let's just make money with money.
Yeah.
And that's where the imbalance comes from.
Right.
Where it's no longer possible to have that balance of goods and money, but it's just money. Yeah, there's a lot of people thinking they can just make money with money and not having to contribute anything.
Yeah.
And that becomes the virus in the system.
That's right. And you brought up Lisa a second ago. And Lisa's been very influential and very supportive of Soulogy. And
it's amazing. And I'm so happy to see you guys doing this together. Always enjoy it.
She's and but on a personal level, she's the little time we've spent talking before a show or whatever, or through an email. Well, I'll give you an example. So, because you said something a minute ago, nothing's going to come for free. There's got to be an equal energy exchange. So you do, you do, and you receive, and that's really what I'm seeing is even if you don't, like, sometimes you'll do stuff and say, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get that, but you really don't know. It's just like, I'm going to do this knowing I'm going to get what I need. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. So, so what I was going to say is so the last time I talked to her, I was like, at the end of the show, I was like, hey, if you need anything, if I can help you in any way, we'll be glad to broadcast through the network your stuff, just let me know what you want me to do. And she said, hey, my stuff is all over there on my website. It's all archived. It's all in order. It's there. If you want to do something with it, go get it.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, okay. But I had experienced the same thing. So I really respected it. And it really woke me up, because people, as I was trying to get Soulogy off the ground, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. And I want to do this. And instead of saying, okay, we'll do this, this, and this, I started saying, well, then go do it. And you know what I found? They don't do it. They don't want to do it.
No.
So I said, okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But I ordered Lisa's books. I've been studying her website. I'm putting this channel feed together. I'm not gonna ask these other people, other than say, hey, do you mind if I take your stuff and put it on the channel? But what you're saying is right. What you're saying is right, is pick up a shovel and start digging, pick up a broom and start sweeping, or whatever it is. Do your thing, knowing that you're going to be reciprocated.
Yeah,
That's how it works.
exactly. And it's not only about giving money in return. It's about understanding, okay, what do I have to offer? What can I bring to the table?
Yeah.
So, and it can be a service. It can, like you are building up not only a website, but a broadcasting platform on a higher level. Well, I'm sure there's people out there that have more, more information or more knowledge about that than you do. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that is a contribution. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
monetary all the time. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. And that is why one big part of our project is to create a platform where you can actually share these services. The working title is Shared Essence, where it's really about, what is your essence? What is your contribution? What do you love doing anyways? And what can you
Wow.
contribute? And by building up a platform like this, actually money is replaced by
Yeah.
this community, because then you can just put out there, this is what I offer. And at the same time, you can put out projects there saying, this is what I need for the project to make it happen. And then people can start contributing.
It's
And
like an open source. It's
it's
like a
like an open
it's
source.
like
Yeah,
a human open source
exactly.
as opposed to an application open source.
Exactly. So it's not the classic crowdfunding anymore. It's not the classic, what are these platforms where you can buy a logos and marketing stuff and whatever, but it's all in one. It's just really people sharing their essence, sharing what they're good at.
No,
And
is that part of Fabric?
that's part of not only Fabric, it's part of the bigger project, which is called Fast Forward,
Well,
where Fabric and Shared Essence
I
are the
want to be
first
on
step.
that. I want to be on that open source
Okay.
thing. I do. I want to be on it. So
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
send me the link because I definitely. But no, I totally get it though okay. So if let's just say I'm plugged in, it's just means I plug in, say this is what I'm doing. This is
Yeah.
the whole thing, and you know.
Yeah.
So then someone says I can plug in here, and then I can see how
Yeah.
it works because you're right.
Yeah.
It's like a geometry. It's like
Yeah,
a
it's
geometry.
it's a fractal. It's a natural fractal.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's you also for partnerships. When you have the broadcasting station and then you say, okay, I have a broadcasting station, but now I need content so people can contribute
Yeah.
and you can find them there. And so that is one of the big like stones or in the foundation that we want for the project, because it's going to make things so much easier. And so we'll see how it develops in the future, but we really feel this is one of the first big steps to take, to
Well,
bring people together in a different way.
well, when we had that conference with me and you and Morgan and Gusty, I
Yeah,
felt, and I even told Morgan, I said something's connecting here, but I don't know what it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Today, I feel more clarity with that,
Oh,
and
beautiful.
and that is a big stone, as we say in the Spanish
Yeah.
language. That's a big cajone, you know.
Yeah.
But that's a great idea. See, I never picked up on that before, and I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but that's a fantastic idea.
No, we
Um,
didn't talk about it that much yet. We've been working more like behind the scenes on a lot of stuff. But this one feels now ready to share in terms of what we are doing and what we want to do with it. What's the intention? And
yeah,
that's really building up a parallel system, a first step into a parallel system where not like everyone in their own little bubble creates a currency or creates
yeah.
but it's really connecting everything.
It's like concentric
And
circles.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like concentric circles. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because
exactly.
you
Yeah,
have these direct lines and then these indirect
yeah,
lines. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a divine human soul open source. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. So
Thank you.
you've got. You're welcome. Thank you. So you've got the so fabric. So the big umbrella is what? Is what do
The
you call
big
it?
umbrella is called Fast Forward.
Fast forward. Okay.
Fast Forward. That is a project Agusti has been working on since 18 years. He's really an architect, so he's writing master plans. That's
Hmm.
what he does. And he has come up with a whole master plan of how to bring the second renaissance to the planet. Because in the second renaissance, what you had was people that had like really brave ideas, and they were supported by patronage. So it was really people that wanted to see beautiful things and wanted to try to see what's possible, like the Medici family who invented the banking system. They were just patronaging artists without expecting any profit in return. They were just benefiting from the creations.
Right.
And that is what we feel has to come back, that there's really this patronage system where people recognize when they invest into something that it's not an investment with, in return having a share of a company or having control or whatever, or buying the product, but enjoying the benefit and sharing it with everyone.
Yeah.
And so that is what Fast Forward is all about, but that is further down the line. So the first step, one I already shared, is shared essence, because we feel to even find the people that can co-create and can contribute, you need a platform like this.
Yeah.
And the second part is what you need is content. Once you find the people who can contribute, you need good content to make it happen. And that's what Fabric is all about. So Fabric is basically a kind of like a research and development center for absolute art creations. That is, absolute art is when art has a clear intention.
Yeah.
When you put intention into art, then it becomes something really touching and really emotional. And that is what the products of Fabric, or the creations of Fabric, intend to do, is touching people in the core so that they can find back to their emotions and to their authenticity and their true self.
Yeah.
So and that is where we feel this is an important bridge, because a lot of people are not really into spirituality and all the spiritual stuff, and so we need to, or our mission is to find ways how to touch them in a way with things that they know, and that's the physical body, that's emotions, that's experiences.
Yeah.
So this is what Fabric does, and at the same time, Fabric also becomes or is a company where people are fully themselves, and it doesn't work with any of the old ideas of what a business should be like. It's completely based on empowerment, on community, and on safe space.
Yeah.
So it's a whole system. And of course, you can only make it happen step by step. It's not that you have the magic stick and tomorrow it's there. But
it's not. No wonder it's been taking me so long.
Where would be all the fun in creation?
Exactly. But I get this part too, because it's like a database. And if I think of like a quick example, so it would be like Guilherme Bastos, the light language glyphs, what do they call them? Glyphs that he does, or that Yukia does, because they have intention, like Morgan's mandalas, they have intention.
Yeah.
Other sacred geometry, all planet geometry people are doing poetry, writings, videos. I mean, I can see this because it carries much more.
Yeah.
It's like you said about the Renaissance, that example about that, because if you think about it, that people didn't write books and then say, here's a price, come buy it. They put the book out and then they were patronized, they were patronized. And that's what's happening at Soulogy. So people have come to me and said, oh, you need to go on Patreon. You need to charge people, X number of dollars. And it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So
I totally know what you mean.
And I'm like, I can't do what doesn't feel right. So then I start thinking to myself, everything seems to be the opposite, right? Like everything they told us to look over here, the answer's over here. Up is down, down is up. So I thought to myself, well, wouldn't it be a novel idea to pay forward those who come on? Because in the other radio program, you have to pay to be on. So why don't we just reverse it and see what happens? Because it's the energy that we pass to each other that is the power, that is the potency, that is the contagion, and that's what you're talking. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Beautiful. Yeah, really fascinating. And it is like you say, everything turned around by 180 degrees. That's where you find the truth. And it's always fascinating how everything was just twisted the other way to block the flow. as
That's
good
right.
as possible. Yeah.
It's true.
Not
Very true.
anymore.
So no kidding, right? So
Yeah.
you guys are doing a little R&R now, which I mean, I know you're still working. I know you
Yeah.
two. So
Yeah. We're
so yeah, I mean, and so too. Also, I've got to ask you too because we're both
yeah.
in a divine conscious union.
Yeah.
So it that part of the trip in September has been interesting.
Yes. Oh, really?
Yeah, it has. You know, I had a conversation. I went through that 3 day period, right?
Yeah.
And I guess she warned me, and I didn't hear it. And then she watched me. So finally,
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, we need to like see each other. We need to like get on camera and see eye to eye, heart to heart, soul to soul. I give this big macho male speech.
Yeah.
So she says, okay. So we get on, and all she did was just stare at me. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Nothing. Uh, how come you're not saying anything? Nothing to say. And over this period of like, I don't know, 15 minutes,
Mm.
my face went through all these contortions, but it all passed through. It
Yeah.
was like it all like just slapped me back in the face, you know. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it. So hell the goddess, man. I don't know how Augusti feels, but when I saw that post he did, I knew where he was at. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I know where he's at. I'm not alone. So
Yeah.
but so that part that conscious union continues to evolve just as we do as individuals. Has it been that way for y'all?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's not that you get together and everything is happy, happy sunshine all the time.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
yeah,
For me, the big difference is that you just really own your stuff.
yeah,
And if there is a day when you start judging or projecting, the partner is there to just tell you, now you're doing it. And yeah, it is a permanent growth together, and it's
mhm,
still, for me, it's really like uh, everything I went through on my own, like the whole process I went through on my own, now is repeated on a deeper level, because now you're not balancing yourself anymore. Now you're balancing with the two.
yeah,
And it's amazing how there's still patterns showing up and things where you thought, oh, I've long been through that. But it's different when you have a partner that you share everything with.
yeah,
And sometimes it's really like, yeah, where you feel like, oh, how, where's the door, how can I get out of here?
yeah, yeah,
But at the next moment you're again like, oh, yeah, okay,
yeah.
there it was, like my ego flipping about
Hmm.
something or freaking out about something in a moment. But it's really taking you to a deeper level of sharing. It's when I look back, when I was just by myself, now when I look back, it seems easy what I did then. Of course it
Yeah.
wasn't when I was going through it.
But it
But
was
yeah,
because
but it was.
you could only see from this perspective. That was it. And,
Exactly. And then I
yeah,
had found my balance just to, yeah, experience on a different level what it
mm,
means to find balance with each other when
yeah,
there's two energy streams
yeah.
doing that dance. And
Well,
yeah,
and then there's the collective stream
yes,
is
exactly.
like like Morgan's explaining her writings, which is sometimes it's not me, it's not you, it's just the energy.
Yeah, it
So like
is.
this month it was she wrote about it. I think some other people wrote about was this victim consciousness.
Yeah, was a big
So
one.
I'm bouncing along and I get hit with just a little minutia of victim consciousness from her, and
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, hey.
Yeah,
But she slides through it, boom, she's done.
yeah,
Now I'm still stuck over here. Now I'm going into it, and I'm wondering, this is my ego. I'm going, okay, well, why are
yeah,
we talking about me? What about what happened back there?
yeah,
Even though she's already passed it. And
yeah,
I realized it took me 3 days, but I realized how futile and ridiculous that was. Because the truth is, if you know what you know, then you let it go.
yeah, yeah,
It's just like you said, though. I
yeah,
love what you said because it looked easier back then than what's happening now. But to,
yeah,
but it is a powerful thing to go through this with somebody. It really is.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful as well because you simply have someone who totally gets you and gets
Mm.
it and gets the process, and you can share, and who's not judging you, or yeah, he's simply there to hold space and vice versa. And it's also beautiful to just have someone to share and to hug, and yeah, and sometimes you want to slap them in the face, but that passes.
Uh,
Yeah.
touch that one. I get in trouble sometimes, but I
I think it's normal. I think that's very normal in the process, and that will pass too.
yeah, I mumble a lot. It's like, what did you say? I said,
Yeah.
nothing. you know, but
Yeah.
the crazy thing is, like, we just went through this, which was, and what I felt like this past week. I there was about 3 days though, and I told her later. I said, you know what, the masculine's going through something. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't normally feel it like that, but I felt it. I felt it in my body, and
Yeah.
I was like, something's going on here, and I saw evidence of that. But anyway, so I went
Yeah.
through some stuff, right, and even though I had this perspective, I looked at her and I was like, I wouldn't change a thing about you.
Mm,
In my head,
exactly.
even though I want to choke you, I wouldn't change a thing about you, and I wouldn't
Yeah. No, of
because
course not. It's
because
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now we're
Beautiful.
yeah yeah it's kind of a yeah it's interesting because the I'm seeing it, especially this year and especially lately. I'm seeing a lot of masculine energy having a difficult time, and
Yeah.
I take a lot of responsibility for my role in helping the brothers, but I'm really at the point now where I'm really beginning to understand that the goddess steps into her full power across the board. All of you steps into her full power, from the spectrum of Kali on one end to Mother Mary
Mm.
on the other. All of it, that the masculine energy just can't do it by himself. That's just the fact. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's that's just nature. It's a natural law that the fertile ground is the feminine,
Mhm.
where the seed can be planted. Without the fertile ground, there is no seed that can grow.
Right.
And that's the feminine and the masculine in the most basic principle. So, of course, the holding space is a very feminine quality. And that doesn't mean just women. There's also
Yeah.
men that have found that balance and can do that just the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it just needs each other. And like you say, it's not possible to do it alone, but it's also not the intention to do it alone. Just as
Yeah.
the divine feminine could not have been risen without all the wonderful triggers of the masculine. So it needs each other. You would not be able to raise your frequency without polarity. You
Yeah.
need the friction, and you need the
Yeah.
push and pull.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah, it's not
sometimes you
always
just
fun, but
gotta
mm,
have some, yeah. Sometimes you just gotta respect it and just have some
yeah, yeah.
have
And
some. And
just recognize, as much as the mind would like to change it or control it, it's just nature doing its thing, and it's evolution. And how much you would like to bypass it, it's just not possible. You just have to go
yeah.
through it.
Now as far as the ascension goes, what we call the
Yeah,
ascension, as far as 2018 goes, and I think about Amanda Lawrence, good close sister of mine.
yeah,
I don't get a lot of I don't get a lot of forecast stuff like that. But for about a year and a half, I received that September was the month of completion, and I talked about it a little bit. And now I
yeah,
talked to Amanda a few weeks ago. She's like, "Hey, that's exactly what I've been getting,"
yeah,
and I really never knew what that meant. I just kept getting it's the ending of something, which I think was specifically for like way showers, first waivers, Blu-rays, whatever you want to call it,
yeah.
and there was an epic new beginning. Does any of that resonate with you? And what do you see happening? Is there a transitioning or a threshold
Um,
being achieved now?
yeah, yes and no, because again, I feel it's a question in what wave you're in, what
Mm.
ascension wave you're in, and I really feel the ascension wave we've been in comes to a completion, in terms of where it's just that tipping point of, okay, now we're moving, like you had the experience with pure 5D experience more and more into these frequencies, and we're able to hold them and staying anchored also physically to really embody it. We've been able for quite a while already to do it energetically, but really with the whole physical existence and the patterning and the programming that was in the physical, we were still falling back down in frequency and still pulled away or carried
Yeah.
away by old programs, and like you with your passport and us with some financing issues for the project and stuff like that. Which is absolutely normal from when you look at it from an evolutionary perspective. That doesn't mean that this completion is done for everyone. It's
Right.
just it's a gateway, like always. It's
Yeah.
like a passing point, and depending on what wave people are in, and also depending on, it's not only the energy, it's also the physical, the family lineage and the DNA that you have incarnated in. That's a different thing. It's a question how much patterning and how much distortion is in the physical existence. So it's not the same for everyone.
Right.
But at the same time, it has definitely been a milestone to pass a gateway where I feel a lot of things will become a lot easier.
That's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
And I like what you said too, because I hadn't heard it that way. And I think that really explains it, where you said we've had these periods where we've been able to hold it energetically.
Yeah.
But now this integration is like getting to a new point where the holding it is in the physicality. It's in the linear, not the linear, but in the physical human experience. And I like what you said, because at the end too, because it is getting easy. It is. I can feel it. I can feel the reciprocation happening, and it is actually happening in a materialization in the physicality. So
exactly.
I don't think ending and beginning was maybe the right words. The semantics we can get caught up in, but what you said about it, it's like a gateway. Something's been crossed. Like we've crossed over into the 5D with some sustainability in the physical.
That's how it feels for me. Also, that now 5D in the physical becomes possible for the first time for a larger group. I mean, there have been some pioneers that have been doing the anchoring work in the beginning, and they had the hardest time to do that and the longest processes to get there. But now, for the first time, I feel we have reached the minimum mass of collective that can now really anchor also physically into the old infrastructure, the pillars of the bridges we're building. So that's why I feel it's so important now that people get out of just reading mode and feeling mode and really understand now it's contribution mode. Now it's really about doing things. Now it's about building things. Now it's using your physical body and not just sit and think and feel and meditate. No, it's a step further. Now it's really going into co-creation. And I feel that is going to become easier now after being it felt like being in a loop, but now it feels like we're getting momentum into this.
So it's like taking action instead of saying, okay, well, I'm going to do this. What are you going to give me? It's more like, I'm going to do this, like I said earlier, and knowing I'm going to get it. And if you look at, I was talking to a divine goddess that I met last night, and she was telling me about all the grid work she did and how she lived in Hawaii. And brought in the volcano thing. She left the day before, comes to the States with $300, gets a car just by past efforts. A client owed her some money, gets up with a car. Now she's traveling all over. She runs out, that whole story about you don't know where you're going to fill up your car, how are you going to get this money. So if it worked for all those grid workers, like you said, that have done this work for so long, then it would only make sense that it works for us on a a minority past the tipping point collective level, able to support these bridges. Only makes sense.
And it really is a new level. I mean, I had, because now it's really co-creation. I've had, when I was traveling around, and I you know, like I was everywhere, also going to grid points a lot often without even knowing why I was drawn to certain places. But I was on my own. It was still just, you know, me doing that. And now these forces come together. But again, it worked for us as individuals, like you said. You know, it always worked. And yes, there were situations when I thought, okay, I don't know how to pay my next night or my next dinner, but there was always someone I bumped into, or some, you know, some solution. So it's going to be the same. Of course, it's going to be the same. But it was necessary for us to collectively come to that critical mass point, that we are all ego free enough to not make it about, okay, what am I going to get for that? But it's really this feeling, this out of purity. I love that Lisa talked about purity a lot in her last post, because that's it. We're coming from a place of purity, and we're investing what we love doing, and we're investing without knowing what's going to come back. There is no guaranteed return, but we're doing it because we feel it's the right thing to do. And
and I think feel no, that's an important, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's an important frequency or vibration to carry. And it's not just what we say to each other. In fact, that's even less important. It's what's important is what we're saying to the universe. Because I know you can relate to this, and all of us can, which is that we've been on this path. We're like, okay, can you just give me, like, you know, 4 figures in the bank account? Can you just give me, like, you know, a little bit of security, a little cushion? And it's, you can't do it. It's literally like, okay, I trust. I trust, period. I surrender, I trust. You know, a gift to know is to receive. So if you know it, you know it. So if you know it, shut the F up and just go do it. Because that's really what it is. It sounds insane, but it worked for the grid workers, and it makes sense to work now.
It's always that contribution first, and then something can come back. But there's no guarantee what comes back. There's just a guarantee when you come from a pure heart, and when you do it because you see the purpose in it, instead of seeing, oh, I'm going to get money for this. Then the results are very different.
And that's where it's tricky. And that's where it's tricky. And that's where, like I was told twice. Just the universe is external. It is a reflection of you. That includes your friends. That includes the people who make this energy Soulogy. So you speak to the universe, you speak to them, it's all the same thing. But the important thing is where you're coming from. So there is no expectation. It's just, I'm putting my heart out there. And it's a scary thing, a little bit. It gets easier, but it's kind of scary, you know. But I'm a big believer, the more I go down this road from my own experiences and seeing other people like what y'all are doing. And the power of the activating factor, far beyond the explanation of the words or whatever it is. It's there's an invisible activating energy that is that purity that she's talking about.
And that is where we are now. That people can really access from a pure, like from their own purity, from, you know, without any distortions, without any beliefs in terms of programming, but really coming from a pure heart. And instead of belief, I love to use the word faith.
That's what
faith is very open. It's not focused on a certain thing. It's really just having faith and saying, hey, whatever comes for a reason, and I'm open to receive.
I love that. Actually love that word too. And it's faith. The second definition is a transitive verb, to trust and believe. And that to me says it all, because that is not a noun. It's not even a verb. It's in motion. It's an energetic motion of faith. It's a move. It's always moving, you know. And so that's and she's been, man, Lisa's been she's just been tearing it up the last few days.
Yeah, she's been cranking it out, really.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm getting my shovel, and I'm like, let's go to work. So she's done. I'm gonna reach out to her today.
Beautiful.
and see if I can,
Beautiful.
maybe we can set up another collaboration. But yeah, and I just got her 2 books, and yeah, you know, we've got to recognize people like this, people like Katie and
Yeah,
Nicole.
absolutely.
A lot of these people have full archives and books and, you know, videos and
Yeah.
such. And a lot of this, and then Morgan. I mean, Morgan's got 18 years of notebooks and stuff. I'm like, you know, get that
Yeah.
stuff together.
Yeah.
Because this stuff is, you know, Rick Jewers is going to come on in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And the last time I talked to him, he said there's about 3 million of us. 3 million out of 8 billion.
Mm.
And I think that's that minority you were talking about. We've reached the point now where we have enough to hold these bridges up. So I'm with you. I think it's going to get easier.
Yeah, it really feels like it, and of course, we have no guarantee. We'll see what's coming, but the most important thing for me is really understanding now is the only reality.
Yeah.
So what we're really learning right now is staying in the now, in the moment, and not even thinking about tomorrow, what's going to be next, but really just taking it on the go.
Don't try to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Don't try to figure it out, and don't try to frame it up, because you'll just F it up. You know, just like
Absolutely.
you said. So I want to tell everybody that we fully support and really are in some type of etherical partnership with Augusti and Vera, and other people too. So I'm going to ask Vera again to put up her PayPal or whatever your contribution box is, to put it in the comments in lieu of Soulogy1 Studios putting up our normal comment. So any of you that are watching live, anyone that watches on the replay, please join us. We're going to make a contribution when she puts it up, Soulogy, on behalf of everybody, and pay it forward, you know, with integrity in this honor system, which is the new 5D commerce, which we're a part of and happy to be a part of. So please put that up. And also, if anyone does want to get, because this has happened, a contribution to Vera and Augusti, just put their name in a contribution to us, and we'll forward it, which we've done for others. So I just wanted to say that and say thank you and tell Augusti hi.
I will. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Always a pleasure.
Y'all have
being
fun
on with you.
Yeah, y'all
well,
have
you
fun.
guys too.
We
You too.
will.
Enjoy. You're still in Sedona?
I'm staying here.
Oh, you're staying there.
Well,
Great.
I'm staying here
Amazing place.
indefinitely, and I'm going to work my ass off to get her over here as quick as possible.
Ah, beautiful.
But we don't talk about that. We just day by day.
Have you done the hike yet to Devil's Bridge? That was my favorite.
No, I got here yesterday. I was here last week for 4 days, last weekend. And when I came last weekend, I had some pretty powerful experiences.
Yeah.
But when I came, well, let me tell you what happened. So last night, I roll into town. I got here like at say 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I get off the bus. And I grab the phone. I said, I'm going to do it live. I said, I'm here. I made it, you know.
Awesome.
And so the next thing, and so what had happened was this lady who lived right next to the bus stop, this really divine goddess, typical, does the work off camera for years and years.
Beautiful.
She said, I've got a room. So I'm like, okay, I'll walk over there. So I walk over there. Well, I did the video, and then this other divine goddess hits me up, who's not from Sedona, who's in a house with another lady who saw the video. She's like, hey, we're over here in West Sedona.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's where I need to be, right? Wait, long story short, she comes over to get me. I'm going to stay over here for 3 days. We pull out of the village of Oak Creek, heading into Sedona.
Yeah.
And as soon as we got on the road, she said, which way do we go? I said, go this way. We go this way, and it's Bell Rock, which is a masculine thing. So we turn on the live. And I went and did this masculine thing. And it was amazing. So yeah. I'm real connected with Shakina Rose. There's a lot of collaborations.
Wonderful.
We're gonna be covering a transformational conference the last 3 days of the month. Soulogy's going to be broadcasting, you know, and interviewing different people. Allison Coe's going to be there. Quite a few other speakers. So it's all just happened. I just followed the guidance and didn't make any sense, but that's what it's all about. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in a caravan.
Yeah, that's very true.
You'd both be working. Say, okay, if we get this much money, then we can go do this. But that's not how it works anymore.
That's not how it works. So it's really pure trust.
It is. I love
Yeah.
you. I love you both.
Love you
Thank you.
both too. Lots of love
So,
and talk soon. Thank you so
yeah.
much for having me again. And thanks to everyone being with us tonight. Really
And
enjoyed it.
please put up your contribution, whatever that is. I know you're
Will
different
do.
music. And then we're going to make a contribution, and I would ask everyone to join us in doing that who's on the live and on the replay. We got 111 comments.
Beautiful.
It's 101 reactions.
Wow.
Peace out.
Thank
Peace
you
out.
so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care.
Talk
Y'all be
soon.